Welcome to New Money Talks, episode 78.
Yeah.
On the money. That's
There
good
we go.
stuff.
All right.
Yep. I'm excited. There you go.
You guys
you're
stressed me out.
You're like the I think we're like episode 5 or 6 we started that. You're like the 72nd person.
There we go. I love it. You gotta have a formula.
We're happy. I'm going to butcher your name. Rikin Diwan.
Yeah. Rikin Diwan.
Rikin Diwan. We have Rikin Diwan here. We met, actually, New Jersey native, one of the amazing guys in New Jersey that does a bunch of cool stuff in D2C. We actually met, I don't even know how we met. We met.
You DM me on Twitter.
I DM'd you on Twitter. That's true.
Like some SEO post.
Yeah.
Like, can
exactly.
I ask you a question?
That's true. And then you were in your car and I was like on a call with you and I was like, oh shit, this guy knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah. We jammed actually.
Yeah, we did jam. It was fun. Long story short, you've had a whole bunch of experience in a whole bunch of businesses, B2B, B2C. Recently, more recently, you were like the CMO, head of growth at Soona.
Yeah.
So you've had a lot of experience in the D2C space. I don't even know where we're going with this because we can go way back. You worked at Apple before. You worked at Uber.
Yeah. Now venturing into more B2B servicing industry.
Yeah. Now no more steady paycheck and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And it's been a ride.
So if you want to give a few minutes spiel on who you are, what you do, I'm curious what you're going to say you do because I'm very curious how you're going to frame that.
All right. Let me try to do it without rambling. I'm Rikin Diwan. I right now I'm starting my own SaaS and B2B company. So myself, a co-founder, we have an engineer, really early days, bootstrapping it right now. Also doing consulting and advising specifically for B2B growth, which is where I've been like the past few years. So past few years of my career, I just came off 2 years at Soona, which is content product photography for eCom brands. So I ran growth there, which was marketing, started up sales, which we were jamming on, and kind of handed that baton off as well. Before Soona was at another Series A B2B SaaS, but in a completely different space, which was insurance. And before that was at another Series A company that we actually sold to Uber, and did about 18 months at Uber after kind of 6 months of being at the startup as well. And so like really most of my stuff is early stage startups. I don't care about the industry. Whatever is just really fun and feels like it's going to be a little bit disruptive has been where I've been jamming. And then I've had a lot of career that led up to like being able to lead marketing teams at those types of companies. So worked at Foursquare as tech and then a long stint in agency side in New York.
Do you know what Foursquare is?
Do you know Foursquare?
Yeah.
What's Foursquare? It's not Squarespace.
Is that not related to payment processing at all?
No. This is the age divide here.
So he's got the little white hairs. You know?
Yeah, I got the white hairs. So Foursquare was like one of the first social apps. Probably launched in like 2008 at South by, and it had everyone checking in. So like if you went to a bar and you were just like, I'm at this bar, you would check in, and it would like signal across your social graph that you're at this bar. And, it was actually a huge thing in like the early 2000s or like the, 2008 onwards. But I was there for like 3.5 years. And it was hot. Like it was, right up there in the same sentence as like Facebook and stuff when it was going. And then people just stopped wanting to do it. But yeah.
But it had to do with payments, like combining social.
No, I think we're thinking about
no payments.
Thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a confusing thing. You got Square and you got Squarespace and you got Foursquare, and they all kind of came out in this like
So it's been around for almost 20 years, this company.
Yeah, now they're like a data location ad tech play.
Makes sense.
Completely like abandoned the social side.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's been.
We were just talking about you worked at Jumpbikes.
Jumpbikes, yeah.
And that was pretty much what it's like Uber's Lime scooter version of something in the sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you were there for that whole debacle of scooters blowing up in the country and then going up and down. Yeah.
What was interesting there is like I went to this. I was coming off of Foursquare, which is like Union Square Ventures backed like startup. I was a product marketer and I was just looking for like, hey, what's the dumbest company that will take a risk on me to be like head of marketing, right? Like at some point you got to leap and try to get to that level and then, find a company that's also like smart enough to like, or dumb enough to take you. And I found this bike share company. The company's not dumb. Like the company was building a great product.
What year was this too?
2018.
Okay.
Something like that, 2017 maybe. And so they were doing bike shares all across the world. But my buddy Ryan ran the company, had been building it for like 8 years, like really just loved what he was doing and determined to make this thing work. And he calls me up. He's like, Rikin, I got this e-bike and it's going to change bike share. And so I went to Dumbo where they were at. I got to ride this e-bike and my mind was blown. I was like, this thing is amazing. Sign me up. And like, it was me and a bunch of other people in like 1,000 square feet in Dumbo, coffee pot, mini fridge. And the first thing was, let's brand this e-bike. So like we were talking about, like City Bike isn't owned by City. It's like the sponsor, there's a company behind it. That's what Social Bicycles was. And they wanted to make a brand. So we called the bike Jump. We launched in like 2 markets, SF and DC. I was there for like literally 6 weeks. And in 6 weeks, they were like, build a new WordPress site, relaunch the brand. And it's like Christmas. And I'm like,
funny enough, when you launch one of these bike companies, are you just like taking a truck and just dropping bikes in the middle of like the city?
Yeah. Yeah. You need the permission from the city.
Yeah.
You like go through a process with the city where you're like, I want to make transportation, more accessible and equitable for your city and give like bike share to more people. And so that's kind of the angle. But then, you literally you have like a little warehouse and a whole operation with a van, and you're just dropping bikes, picking them up, fixing them.
Jeez.
And it's like very like, sweat work. Like it's not techie. But I was there. We then launched in SF and DC. They were 2 of the cities that gave us like this small pilot. And Ryan was super smart. He's like, I'm going to put these bikes on Market Street. And if you've been in Market in SF, that's where all the like VCs are going to come up and down. Uber's office is right there. Twitter's office, back then, their headquarters was there. And Uber just saw these bright red bikes flying up and down the street. And basically we sold to Uber 6 months after I joined. And it was just me. And then it blew up when we were at Uber. We had a lot of like resources and stuff. Yeah.
Jeez.
But that was like my first foray into startup world and like getting a taste for that. But when it all ended just as quickly as it kind of began, we can go into that. But
is this like all intentional though, or is this kind of like you're stumbling into these opportunities in a sense?
I think like when you start playing the startup game, and everyone's wondering about what's my equity worth, it's a roll of the dice. Like you don't know what startup's going to make it and what startup's going to fail. You have like a feeling, but I've done 3 startups where I've now been head of marketing, VP of marketing, CMO level. And I think the 2 that I used logic haven't like gone cray. And the one where had I been smarter and like looked at their books and been like, there's no way this thing's going to make it, got acquired by Uber. like you just don't know what you're going to get. And I do think you have to put yourself out there so you get in the position where someone's going to hire you, right? But then luck can kind of make you get on one of those rocket ships when it comes to like playing the startup VC game.
For sure. Yeah, that's interesting. Because like we were talking about before, like you've gone through acquisitions, both getting acquired and acquiring companies, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys were acquired by Uber in that scenario, so you worked at Uber. I'm curious, how'd that feel like having to work at Uber after this thing? Was that a good feeling? Did you hate it? Did you love it? People are usually like, when they start acquiring people in like a CEO or a VP to go, they're usually like, I don't do anything all day. And I'm just sitting on my hands. Like, what was your experience like?
Shocking. I think like I went into Uber literally the first day. So we flew to SF and I'm in their headquarters now. And I'm literally asking, so who's my new boss? Like there's no game plan. There was no blueprint. It was like, buy this company, figure it out. And then they go to me, we don't know anything about bikes or scooters or anything like that. And so you're the boss.
So literally someone at Uber sitting there like, we don't know anything. Like,
they didn't even have a CMO at the time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm the marketing person. So what are they going to do? Like, what is the org structure of this going to look like? Are we going to be our own entity that's like, this is the department, we get to do what we want? Or do we all get like product people go there and marketing people go there? And for a while, it was really just like, we're our own thing. Within it, and there wasn't really like a bigger integration plan. That is like the exciting part. Like you then get to work with your counterparts there. You have to meet them, but you almost have to like grab people by the neck and like try to figure it out because they got another OKR, right? Like they got their own thing going
OKR,
on.
Man?
Oh, like objective and key results. Like their planning cycle. So they have like their own planning,
KPI,
their own goals, their own KPI, all the acronyms. They got their own acronyms.
See, we don't know.
yeah. And we're trying to figure it out. And But it was also fun because they threw like a ton of resources at us. They want us to succeed. So it went from, in 18 months, it goes from me to 40 marketers reporting into me. So now I'm hiring globally, and I've like never hired.
What are these people
this
doing all
fast.
day?
Again, you just like kind of look at it and it's like, what's my org structure?
Okay.
So I had, one of the biggest things with bikes is we're launching in cities. So we went back to like old school Uber tactics, which was like street teams, like local market teams doing things to help the marketing out. And so we set those up regionally. Like we even had one out of Amsterdam. We were starting to do one in Brazil and like had a few in the US. And these guys were doing events and rides and experiences. Then you have like your performance team and your CRM team, like they're Uber. They know their stuff. They have their app. They have the most massive list in the world. So you're working with those teams directly, trying to figure it out. And then one of the most fun things is we got to build our own content team because this is like the first time Uber has hardware. And the bike looks sick. The bike is like a gorgeous bike. If you're trying to imagine it, it actually is the Lime bike now because later in the story, we got divested and became Lime. But that bike was ours and it was bright red at the time and like bold Jump logo. But one of the best things was like I got my own content team. So we had like a photographer, videographer, designers, the whole thing. And we did a lot of influencer stuff as well. And that was a fun thing. So yeah, honestly, there was no blueprint for it, but it had its ups and downs. It's hard to get acquired and fit right in. And I learned a lot from that later on when we were acquiring companies at Soona, kind of knew what to expect or what the other side is going through to try to figure it out a little bit better. But yeah.
Yeah. I know Kyle was talking about Soona too because like there's a whole bunch of creative and stuff like that. So
it's relevant to what we do.
Yeah. On the eCom side, it's become big.
Have you used Soona before?
Yeah.
You have,
yeah. No, it's cool. It's
did you sit on the shoot or did you like just refer your clients?
Both
to it?
Both, yeah. I would say it's knowing what I know now, it's a little bit more on like the premium side, which is like great from a service perspective. But now from a company perspective, I think things have shifted to more of like a volume play instead of a quality play. So it's not like, let me get these 10 amazing ads this month. It's like, let me get 100 ads, even if like half of them suck, just because even if the hit rate's lower, I'll find something, the diamond in the rough a lot quicker.
And I think with performance, you need that volume of testing that, the premium ad or the premium photography shoot. It's just not going to switch.
I'd say what it is really good for is if you have like a startup and you just need really good content for like the website.
Base level.
Yeah.
Like your Shopify
exactly. Like website, maybe like, your grid for Instagram, like just getting that all prepped out with like really high quality. And then you pivot to an alternative, either an in-house structure or a scrappier service to go volume for ads. But so we've used it a lot, even now to this day for, I guess, like for startup websites and just like configuring
now
the way
AI,
it looks pretty.
Like doing everything. And Soona launched AI recently, like right before I left. We had launched like an AI kind of component to the platform and kind of moved towards a SaaS model too. Mm-hmm. But AI is just gonna go crazy with it. So it's not there yet, but it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies that are in the content space, for a while they tried like hiding the fact that they were leveraging AI. Yeah. But now like you might as well just like publicly announce it and use it to your advantage. Because like if you're not, you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of now I'm on like consulting while I build my own SaaS, and a lot of it is SEO, and we're doing website designs and redesigns, and so you actually want to put yourself out there as good at AI and like knowing what you're doing with it. Otherwise you're fighting something that, is going to eat your lunch anyway. So yeah, that's really interesting that you've used it. It was a good ride there too for like 2 years.
I'm curious, when you were brought into Soona, like what was like your goal and the idea of you going there? Like what they want you to get them to in a sense. So like, how'd you think through the plan of like where you wanted to go? I'm really curious of that.
Well, I went to Soona because I think I'm a masochist and I find this company that has like an underdog mentality. And I'm like, okay, I want to be part of the underdog thing. And, they just wanted to disrupt. I had worked at a company before and we used an agency, a big agency. I won't shame them because they're a really good agency. But they're a big creative agency in Dumbo. And they charged like 10 grand for 10 photos,
Wow.
and that you had a 1-year license to, because the models didn't want like the license in perpetuity for. And so when I came across Soona and I heard like this is a couple $100 for your average shoot, you get like the same amount of assets for it, you have the license for it in perpetuity. I was like, I like that. It solved the problem. And so I went there.
What is up, New Money Talks fam? Just want to hop on here, give a quick shout out to our awesome sponsor, Printify. If you're looking for an easy way to start an e-commerce brand, print on demand is the way to go. It's efficient and a super practical way to build a quick, profitable business without having a whole bunch of technical experience and a lot of cost too. With Printify's on-demand services, you can sell just about any type of merchandise with your own custom designs with just a few clicks of a button. It's perfect for artists, influencers, small business owners, and honestly, anybody who just wants to start a business today, they can with Printify. Check out printify.com today and start building your dream business risk-free. Now back to the podcast.
But things evolve where we had to move up market. We have to get bigger clients. It's kind of the normal thing is you want to start low and help all the Shopify customers like just starting out. And this is COVID. The company kind of started with the tailwind of everyone opening up Shopify stores in the beginning of quarantine. And then after a while, we had to like mature. So like a lot of the work was how do we move up market? How do we price differently? Building a sales team that could go after that.
So was a lot of organic growth in the beginning for Soona?
It was VC backed.
Okay,
so like we had a good little like
marketing
kitty
budget
to play with. Yeah. And I enjoy both sides of like being super scrappy and bootstrapped and being given kind of a decent budget to work with. But we had our own budget. We were doing a lot of Facebook and Meta like paid testing, Google search as well, people searching for product photography, for UGC, for other things like that.
Is there like a big version of Soona that exists? Like
I can't.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like a company that Soona can be like look at and be like, oh, we want to be like this. They do like, I don't know, $500 million a year in like revenue.
Well, what's changed real fast is the AI thing. So there's like an app now called like Photo Room.
Photo Room, okay.
And Photo Room is an iOS app, and they were starting with like eBay sellers and those kind of marketplace things versus like the Shopify or the Magentos of the world. And they're crushing it. This AI app where you put the photo, remove the background, and put it in all these different things. So later, like it kind of emerged a different direction to go in. But just for having studios and product photography, there are some like super boutique things, specific to fashion like that, but nothing that has like the breadth.
Got it. Because I'm curious, like a company like a Macy's, for example, right?
Yeah.
That has a catalog of 10,000 SKUs, 20, whatever, 100,000 SKUs. How are they doing their product photography?
I think to Kyle's point, they're probably going to either do it in-house because they're, that is like an overhead cost for them is so much. It makes more sense to just hire. And then when they have the in-house team, that in-house team probably does have some small agencies and like friendlies that they want to use to really manage.
Well, because now that I think about it, all these like even like any big box retailer that has an online presence, they have to take all these images. Like think of like a Home Depot. Like a Walmart, like their website is just filled with images. Obviously white background images, but someone's taking those. So it is probably a pretty big market that does. You kind of just have to find where you fall into that.
It's very like disconnected. There's just like a ton of vendors.
Because anyone can take a picture if you really think about it.
Yeah. And there's some really talented people, right?
Sure,
like there are just like individual photographers on Instagram crushing it, and they're like, I want to do a campaign with that person.
Definitely.
Right. To your point, get the base level of assets, and now everything turns into kind of a marketing campaign. The next time around, and there you're going to want location scouting, pick the perfect model. Those types of things, are more boutique. In that one.
So you were mostly on marketing side as opposed to like product side, right?
Yeah, marketing side.
You went from CMO to chief of growth in a sense, you'd call it?
Yeah, so I became chief growth officer because I started overseeing building the sales team and all that. And then, at a SaaS company, marketing and product have to work really closely together where, SaaS is shipping new features and testing and experimenting super fast. So really on the funnel, like how are we like going to turn someone from a visitor to a customer as fast as possible? And then also like pricing, productization, how are we going to put that stuff on the site and make it make sense? So you work really closely with product. And I think like parts of me sometimes feels like, a product person trapped in a marketing career for like 20 years now, but I always enjoy like jamming with that product team. So yeah.
What was the feedback loop like with the product team? Because I know some companies that thrive off the marketing team knowing little to nothing about the product, and others that like need to know every little thing. Because sometimes you don't, if you have too close of a feedback loop and you know where the bodies are buried, maybe you're not as incentivized to want to market or want to grow, because you know that there's all these improvements that are going on behind the scenes, and you're not able to provide like the perfect customer experience, things like that.
Yeah, I think I don't know, for better or worse, I'm the type of marketer. I was just telling someone this the other day. They were interviewing for a job and they had been burned by like the last company they were at. And I was like, this job reported to the CEO and they were the marketing CEO. And I said to the guy, I was like, make sure you ask for an interview with the chief product officer or the CTO, whoever's running product. Because I think at that type of company, a SaaS company especially, it's more important that the marketing person and the product person have a good relationship than anything else. And then second, the marketing person and the finance person, because it's like a budget. And so for better or worse, I'm pretty hands-on and like vocal and will tell product if I think it should be different. Yeah. And I also want product and product marketing to go like really hand in hand, and for them to say, this is where we're going with the product. So marketing, you got to change your mindset and your tagline. And they're always going to tell you like move up market, or like, they have their own view. And so you have to know like each other's roadmap.
Yeah, no, it's tough because like my co-founder for my agency is like now mostly marketing and I'm mostly product. So sometimes we'll be like, hey, we should do like X, Y, Z, on the products. I'm like, dude, it's taking way too long to deliver X. Like I'm trying to productize this, and like that's all
what he's
great.
telling you,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like that's all great, and we're also I'm trying to model after companies that are 2 to 5 times our size.
Yeah.
And then I think sometimes he tries to model after companies that are 50, 100 times our size.
Yeah.
And I was like, a lot of the companies that are 50, 100 times our size, they're building processes around working with the Coca-Colas of the world.
Yeah.
And the way they market is very different than the way a brand doing 6 figures a month is marketing.
Yeah.
Or that's doing like multi 5 or even 7 figures a month. And so it's tough because one wants to do X, but then when you want to market, and you're getting in touch with a product team, be like, oh, can we just like throw in X, Y, and Z so we can include it into our marketing and make the offer look better? It's tough.
Yeah, there's a lot about this. So Airbnb, for example, got rid of, I can't remember exactly how they phrased it, but they basically made their product managers be product marketing managers. And I think that is like a shift. There are other companies that feel like the product marketer should sit with the product team, not in the marketing department. So I think marketing in general is having like this existential crisis of like, who are we? Where do we sit? And is that okay? And I think that's kind of what you're facing. The fun ones are like, I think this is where you have to do like good planning, and you do planning together. Because I think what's odd with the product teams in most of these companies, maybe not the Coca-Colas of the world, but like a big tech company, is where it's odd, but often the product team is not as involved in the financial planning and forecasting for the next year versus the marketing team. Because normally it's like, who owns a budget? And there really isn't a line item that product owns when it comes to budget. So if you do it well, and I learned this after a lot of mistakes and not doing it well in the beginning, is if you do it well, you actually, like the marketing person forces product to come in and be like, look, until we launch this thing in product, and I got our head of product here sitting with me, we're in alignment, like until we launch this thing in Q3, don't expect AOV to go up, because it's not like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And so like you can do those things. So those are kind of like help you do the calendar or the whole year. And then the other fun one is like, I love like funnels and like A/B testing funnels the whole way through. The best thing that I found is forget departments, just slam a marketer, a UX designer, a data analyst, and like a product person in one room, and they sprint cycle. Like they come up with a concept, they experiment, they like execute for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. And then they keep or kill the things that win and lose. And then they just move on to the next thing, brainstorming. And then you slowly like edge up that little percentage point conversion and all of those people are having fun. Like if you almost put them in a room without saying this is a department meeting, they just have more fun. And so that's like your fast lane. And then your planning of the big spreadsheet is the bigger way to do it. But yeah, no one's figured it out. So product and marketing role is kind of like butting heads a little bit. But yeah.
I'm curious, like from someone who has worked a lot of B2B, from your experience, what do you think is more important, the marketing or the sales? So I'm with it right now. Like I'm more of like a sales driven person in a sense. Like we've done no marketing at all. Actually, this podcast is probably the only marketing we've ever done for like what I do.
Yeah.
But I do see the value in it. My thing is I'm always scared that like to build marketable assets just takes time. Like we've had this conversation. So like, but in sales is like instant gratification to the most part. What's your thoughts on that too?
Well, what's fun now is I'm starting my own SaaS.
Yeah, we should talk about that too.
Yeah, so I'm starting an app called Popform.
Okay.
We could talk about what it is, but like to answer the question, what's funny about that is now that I'm doing it and I'm sitting in the CEO's seat wondering, and right now it's my own money, like where am I going to spend money or time?
You're like sales.
Sales.
Yeah.
Like I almost think sales is needed in the beginning and don't do marketing in the beginning, right? The other thing with marketing is like some people think marketing is paid advertising when they hear it. Some people think it's content. So like some people think it's
outreach,
or some people think it's A/B testing, the site and the copy on the site. Like it could mean so many things. And I think that's actually a big problem.
Interesting.
Is that marketing means too much right now. But like, I think sales is not more important, but I think it's more surgical, right? And like when you're in a bind and you need to like really make a change, sales can actually drive that change. And I ran sales and built the sales, like the whole like qualified lead scoring and everything, and implemented HubSpot while at Soona as well. So I got to really appreciate it. And then I think if you really want a company firing on all cylinders, then you need marketing and sales like working really fast.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big believer in SEO. And if any company's like, should we do it? The answer is probably like, you should have done it yesterday.
I remember we said this. Yeah.
Because at a certain point when I was at an insurance company, and insurance spends a ton of money on Google. It's just like a massive category. And so we invested in search for 2 years, both in paid search and then like spending a ton of money in organic search. And then when the times got bad and we had to pull the budget back, the organic search by that point, we had such a good investment that it gave all the air cover we needed.
Let's talk about this organic one because it's like a personal thing I'm trying to figure out. So when you say you want to scale like organic search, right?
Yeah.
How do you spend more money on organic search in a sense? Is that writing more content? What does that entail in a sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to date myself too, but this was even before my time. Before my time, companies used to have something called like a webmaster. Do you know this? Like,
I don't know what that is. No.
It's like a role that existed in the 90s. And it'd be like, you run our website.
Oh, you're like the website master.
Yeah, you're literally like the webmaster. It's like you build our website, manage it. And it was like not marketing and not product. It was just called a webmaster. And I think SEO is a little bit like that, where some people think of SEO and they're like, I just need blog posts. But really, like SEO is managing a lot of like the landing pages that you have. How are they set up? So for example, and now it's changing where, for example, people are building calculators and tools and quizzes.
Okay.
And those become these like massive organic search drivers.
So why are those good?
So because to take those, you then have to you then build it and design it in a way that it captures an email.
I see.
And now that email is in your HubSpot pipeline or your Salesforce pipeline or whatever pipeline you're using. And then your BDRs go in and be like, I saw you were on our site, right? Like this isn't like scrape a list and just email. This is like, they're slightly warm and you can go in and then you can qualify and be like, there's a whale in there. I'm going to go after the whale who just took this quiz, right? So I'm working with a company that outsources or does staff augmentation. So like helps other companies hire engineers in Argentina. And so there's like a salary guide. And okay, let's build you a salary guide. Someone comes, they want to know how much a front-end developer costs in Argentina compared to like...
It's a whole calculator type of thing.
So we built like this little calculator and that's going to start ranking. At Soona or Photo Room, if you're in this space, they're going after who has the best page for the search term remove background. people are going on Google every day just wanting to remove the background from their photos. And it's like, okay, how do you get there? And if you can get there with a little tool that captures it, then you can capture emails. And
So
now
pretty
I
much like
think
a tool that removes the background. You like,
Hey, Nobody Talks fam, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at portlist.com. If you are tired of waiting months for inventory restocking, low quality packaging, or high markups with other solutions, you have to give Portlist a try. Portlist has 6-day shipping directly from China to over 55 countries, helps you save money and boost cash flow by cutting unnecessary upcharges and fees. And they provide local tracking carriers like USPS and Canada Post, which means no more non-branded Chinese letter packaging that creates distrust with you and your customers. So if you want to break through these logistic barriers, go Portlist today and save money, increase your customer satisfaction, and reduce the headaches that you're probably currently experiencing with your 3PL shipping partner or sourcing agent. If you want to check out Portlist, you can get 20% off your pick and pack fees for the first 3 months by visiting the link in the description of this video. Now let's get back into the podcast.
yeah.
make one.
And it's actually the thing that I think marketing and sales can agree upon the most is emails. It's like, I need the most emails in my list, like the list I own. And then you have fun with it. But to your point, like, what does organic search mean? I think like most people think of it as articles. Now it can be these quizzes, but it can even be like, am I showing up on Trustpilot or, Yotpo and all these other directories well? So the backlinks come to me.
Gotcha.
Like,
Even
what's my
like
search
Reddit's a big
presence?
one.
Reddit.
Yeah.
So I think organic search has become this thing that
I saw some like
eCom too
some
is
like
embracing.
SEO hack where maybe he sent it to me.
Yeah.
It was like this guy was like hacks on Reddit. Like you go on Reddit, you post like a question, like say it's like
Yeah,
Soona or
yeah, and
something.
then you
It's like,
answer it yourself.
well, like then you have like your employees like start commenting like, oh, I'm looking for one of these. I'm looking for one of these.
But you
And
make
then
it like neutral. You don't make it obviously positive.
That's I've actually gotten
Have you done that before?
I've gotten kicked out of a couple Reddit threads.
Really?
Yeah.
But then
just-
so you make them neutral in the beginning, but then you go back in and 2 months later and have all of them make it like raving positive reviews.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a play with Reddit. I've done the play and I've done it well. And then in the beginning, I did not do it well and got like blocked from a couple subreddits.
Yeah.
That's
Where
funny.
they're like, you can't promote your own product. I'm like, just giving us a shout out. Like, I don't know. But yeah, there's definitely a Reddit play.
Interesting. No, I saw this on Instagram. I'm curious though too. Like, say for example, the company you're working at that spent a lot of money on like SEO and stuff.
Mhm.
When you say a lot of money, how much is a lot of money? That's another thing.
The way I've learned to think about it is I think you should be comfortable spending 5 to 10% of your paid budget towards content that can drive SEO.
Well, the next stupid
Right.
question is if you don't have a paid budget,
Then you should not spend any money on organic, but
okay,
make organic everyone's job in some way.
interesting.
So like, there are some companies that are super technical, right? And I'm working with a couple of them right now and helping them out in the strategy, but it's almost their chief product officer knows this space and can talk about it better than anybody else. So how can he help us write an article? Now, no one wants to distract him, but I'm making it up him. But like, can he write one a month? And
Right.
can the salesperson write something about sales tactics and maybe how they're using AI to influence sales once a month? And then this is like LinkedIn content. This could be YouTube content. But if you can turn it back into an article, like at least you're doing something.
Got you.
You do need someone who knows the tools and like how to measure what might be searched for the most and like what you can rank for fastest. That can help you. But if you don't have that big of a budget, then I think you gotta like embrace it internally.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause people always say you can like spend more. People like spend more on certain things. Obviously, paid ads, if like you're making money, you can just dial up the budget.
Yeah.
Or something like this, it's like, are you spending more on more writers? You're spending more on, I guess, building these tools. Like the calculator is kind of interesting too, because
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people do
And
that.
I think
like build
eCom,
calculators.
which you guys like deal a lot with eCom, and I have too. Like at Soona, you should be focused on paid.
of course,
right?
in paid, yeah. But like
Um,
if you're in B2B, for example,
Yeah.
maybe not paid, maybe you should be doing organic.
I think you should definitely be doing organic. And then I think, the two you can learn from though, because you can spend a little bit of money, know that the landing page works, that your tagline
That's
works,
fair.
Yeah.
the conversion is happening. Now it's worth putting it into the SEO, which may not reveal itself for like 6 months,
Yeah.
and so doing a little bit of both is good. But also like most companies know I'd like to dominate these 3 terms. So it's like, just start there. Just build the content around those 3 terms and see if you can own it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So organic's been a lot of fun though. I think I'm like a dork about it. It's a lot of fun.
When did you start diving into it? When you're at Uber, like after Uber?
Actually, at Thimble, which is the insurance company.
Okay.
Because that space is wild where, like Policy Genius. Have you ever heard of Policy Genius?
Genius, yeah.
Everyone's heard of Policy Genius, and I didn't really know what they were doing before. But really what they've done is like, they've built a really good SEO engine where they rank above actual insurance companies for insurance terms. And now you land on them, and they built a little calculator, like, the best one, the cheap one, whatever. And then they sell their leads back to the insurance companies.
A broker almost.
So it's, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're literally like real-time bidding on your leads and getting them in. And then they might even say, like, we only send the lead over a phone call to your sales team.
Oh,
so we had to like set up infrastructure on the sales side just to receive the leads.
The company you were working at was similar to that?
So the company I was at was the insurance company.
Oh, it was actually insurance company.
And now we were taking like some of our budget and buying the lead off of them.
Got it.
And it's kind of a circle thing because they would take that money and then bid with a Google search term on the word that we wanted to go after anyway. But you just have to play that game.
So like Lemonade's the same type of thing, right? Like a Lemonade.
We were like, the company I was at was Lemonade, but for business insurance.
Business insurance, okay.
Right? And Lemonade is more like on the auto and home side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Lemonade, and it's actually like a
pretty
great
successful
industry.
company, right? Lemonade.
Yeah, Lemonade is very successful. The company I was at, Thimble, we grew it really fast. I think when I joined, it was like 2 million ARR, and we ended up at around 20 in 2 years.
That's fast.
And then they got acquired.
Okay.
As well. So yeah, the growth.
So maybe insurance is a good place to be in.
Yeah. It's just there's a lot of layers. So there's the sales agent. There's like an underwriter. There's the actual like insurance company that you think of.
Interesting.
And it's like when you buy a policy from Geico and then you end up with some other company's like insurance.
A random name of a company never heard of. Yeah.
Geico's just taking a percentage.
So Geico's not even an insurance company.
I don't think, not for all of its lines of insurance.
Like, interesting.
Right.
Like some lines they'll sell it to you, but they're just the sales agent.
So they're just like marketing companies, these places.
Yeah, everything's all like incestual.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny because the payment processing world is very similar too.
Yeah.
They're all like, they're called like ISOs or whatever. It's like sales organizations pretty much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like all are selling the same processor.
Yeah.
Just with different like
Behind
logos in the front.
Yeah. And I think when you enter like a big market, it's just, how do I get some of that slice?
Literally, it's like a half of a percent type of thing.
Yeah. Which search can help someone do too. Like I use a lot of search just to research. Like, go on Google search, go on Google Trends, and like just see like what's the search volume for this versus that. Am I entering like a big, space or small niche thing? And you can kind of get a feel for how you need to come into the market.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your SaaS tool too. Like, so what's the SaaS tool about?
Oh yeah. So I'm building something called Popform. It's really funny. I actually haven't talked about it publicly yet. So
I guess here it is.
This is it. Yeah. This is it for me. So Popform, it came to me as an idea and a problem 5 years ago. And I have 2 kids, and my daycare was sending me all these forms. Like, to register my kid was a 19-page PDF form. And it was like, upload a picture of your driver's license, upload your insurance card. I'm like, how do I upload a photo to a PDF? Like, it just blew my mind. And now I'm also like dragging little boxes. And so that's what Popform does. It takes any form and it basically, we're using now, things have changed a lot. So we're using something called optical character recognition. AI is helping us a lot, where now we could just take the form and we identify all the fields instantly. We like know where they are. We know it's a text field versus like a date field. And we can even like label the field. Like that's first name, or, that's social security number. And so when you or I receive like a PDF anytime, whether it's like a contract from an agency we're working with, whatever, we can fill it out easily. Kind of like a DocuSign, but for every field. And then when the business gets it back, they get the PDF, but they also get all those fields as a table, as a spreadsheet. And so now they can basically power other systems. So like the way I think about it is I really love Ramp. You guys know Ramp? So Ramp had this like insight that they can innovate the credit card and make a better credit card for expenses. But then if you own the credit card, you own every transaction. And if you own every transaction, you could do lending, you could do accounts payable, you could build the entire fintech like stack for the small business. And my hypothesis for Popform is that if you own forms for like the everyday business, you know when contracts begin, when they end, you know what the payment terms should be, you kind of know everything. And so if you can build a better kind of widget there, you can go into kind of the full stack of like CRM, of accounts payable, of like, business intelligence tools like dashboards and reporting and things like that. And so our mission is to become like the OS for everyday businesses. But it starts with, let's start with a better form maker than everyone else.
Got it.
And we're pretty far building it. And it's been interesting because I'm spending my own money in cash every month. I have a co-founder who's technical, but we need more. So we're paying for those. But I think by like August, it's June right now when we're shooting this. So I think by August, I should have something out.
So who's if you had like an ideal ICP, who is that? And what's like the value prop? Is it saving money? Is it increasing the efficiency of the things that they're capturing from what they're signing, et cetera?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like that daycare, going back to the sales thing, I sat down with him for like an hour. And
Oh, you did? You
yeah,
did
I was like,
daycare.
dude, I hate your form. What do you guys do with this form? And he goes, this guy's no joke either. He has an 8-figure daycare chain.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, in like,
you got to meet this guy
in Hudson
Jersey
County,
City?
in Jersey City, and Hoboken, right? And he's crushing it. He has 30 full-time people on staff. And he said 3 of his admins hand type every response
Wow.
into a Google Sheet.
Wow.
So first, save money.
Yep.
Which means save headcount or save them time.
The whole through,
right?
Yeah.
And so like definitely want to save time, which then can save them money and headcount and hopefully give the admins more.
Hard stop right there though, because everyone talks about 7-figure e-com stores, 5-figure this shit. You use like 8-figure daycare with 2 locations in
I'm
Jersey
convinced
City.
actually like the best businesses are not sexy at all.
No, they're not at all.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, and it's like just open up a daycare center. I don't know what the
Literally.
margins are. They're probably not great. Apparently insurance is really high, right?
But
And-
so what?
yeah, and
Even
you
if
can
it's
crush
10%.
Even if it's 10%.
it. You might as well, and that's your own 100% owned.
And
thing,
like
right?
daycare's not going out of business anytime
No.
soon.
No,
Yeah.
during pandemic, it's like, yeah, we still need the daycares,
Yeah.
like crushing it, right?
Throw on a
Sorry
mask.
to cut you off, but like
Yeah.
people watching this, they're like, oh, I want to start a tech company, blah, 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 blah. E-commerce, but like, boom, 8-figure
Yeah.
babysitting company.
I mean,
yeah.
I want to own
The
like a
daycare.
property management company. You know,
Literally,
it's just
yeah.
like I want to do something everyone needs that's not cyclical.
Your tool would
Yeah.
be great for property managers.
So like you
Yeah.
asked about the ICP, and like I could say like let's go after all daycares, but I had my real estate license on the side. Like I did some moonlighting once, and I'm like realtors use PDF forms all the time. They have systems for that. Lawyers and legal firms, I mean, we have to go through like some level of security and compliance when we get to like health and legal. But really the ICP for me right now is like an everyday business and office. I think people use SMB too broadly. Like I've heard people say SMB is like a store they just started. And then some people say that they're literally a 50 million, 100 million revenue business and they're an SMB.
Yeah.
So I've gone down and said, I want the everyday business, which is like an office is what we're talking about. Now, obviously, I think over time you like start to scale and then tie it all together. I think you start with sales to just go door
Start
knock.
getting revenue going.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, I just want to door knock right away. I'm going to call up every daycare in like a 50-mile radius or whatever. Then marketing can take over. But then as you need to like evolve to like the next level of up market, like
For
sales
sure.
kind of comes back in. And I think that's like where I see it going. And it's just where I've been. Like the business insurance company, we were selling to plumbers, right? Like we were photographers, plumbers. You could buy hourly insurance
Interesting.
and just get gig insurance for gig work was kind of the angle. And so like, I just kind of learned how to message and go after
That's a
that.
great market. There's what's the company called? Jobble? No, Jobble's like it's a Jobber. Have you heard of Jobber?
Yeah.
You know?
It's pretty much like Shopify. I think Shopify, but for like landscapers.
Oh, really?
So like you can have your own app and a
love that.
website and XYZ for a landscaper for like a plumber type of thing.
Yeah.
So they're selling to like these like small business office businesses,
Yeah.
but there's like millions of them. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah,
really smart.
There's a
Yeah.
company I think called Pulse.
Okay.
You know, and even like Angie's List has kind of been in
Kind
that
of,
space where like those guys don't want to do front office
Of course not.
stuff. So if
Yeah.
you could take something off their plate and they just get to do like the work they want to
Yeah,
do,
for sure.
they're pretty happy. And like that's kind of where,
I'm assuming you haven't raised any money for this.
you know, it's something like right now where I'm building and starting to discuss, but like the more and more I think about it, maybe it could be like a lifestyle business or, you know, something cute. but it could also just go
So I'll
after
even tell you
something
this.
huge.
So like, for example, I have a buddy in the 3PL world who just, I was on the phone with him yesterday for an hour and a half about this. I was just blown away.
Yeah.
He built a WMS, spent 500 grand of his own money on it.
Yeah.
Got 10 customers in the first week to sign up for this thing, like $1,000 each.
Yeah.
Went in front of the VC and they like were like begging to give the guy money. Because they were like, well, if you actually put this much money of your own money in, obviously you think it's going to work. He's had like multiple.
What's up, New Money Talks fam? If you run ads for your e-commerce business and you haven't heard of adcopy.ai, you are absolutely missing out. Adcopy.ai focuses on generating new variations of ad copy for your business based on the best performing copy in your ad account, based on millions of data points in order to improve the quality of your ads, make more money, and reduce the cost that it takes to launch new ads. Now, outside of the ad copy, it also helps you streamline the launching and publishing of new ad creatives to new campaigns or to existing campaigns with just a few clicks of a button. So whether you want to launch completely new ads with new copy or you want to use existing copy to spin off new variations that you can go ahead and split test in your account, you definitely want to check out AdCopy AI. Now, on top of all of that, they're coming out with some incredible features that are going to help you be able to passively automate the optimization decisions that take place within your ad account to improve your advertising tracking, to give you the opportunity to fire your media buyers and cut costs that you would naturally have when it comes to paying a team member to manage your ads, because they're helping streamline the entire media buying process on Facebook for your direct consumer e-commerce brand or any other business for that matter that you run Facebook ads for. So again, I can't stress it enough. If you're running ads and you're not using adcopy.ai, you are going to get left in the dust. So if you want to go ahead and check them out, you can use the link in the description of this video. And other than that, let's get back into the podcast.
Multiple successes, and he's like, I don't want the money. I don't need the money type of thing. Cause like he has enough to like do what he wants to do. But like, I feel like that's the best way to do it. Like use a little bit of your own money, build it. Like I'm sure you haven't spent $500,000.
No, not yet.
Not even
Not
close.
yet.
Yeah, probably not even close to that.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not, of
Yeah.
course. And then like gain some traction. And you like when you don't need the money, that's when you can raise the most money, you know?
Yeah, and I think like the doorways will open. I do like having come from the VC world, I think or like startups that are VC backed, it's a double-edged sword.
For sure.
Like they put an amount of pressure on you that makes you do things fast, which is actually good, and make like hard decisions. But they also make you grow fast, which is odd because I was the marketer, right? Like it was often they're encouraging me to spend money, or they're encouraging the CEO who then hires me, and now we're all spending money. But things can get bumpy in that, and I think that's where the last 2 years in the VC world has changed.
For sure.
Where it's like now they want growth, but they want like responsible, profitable path.
It's funny because I saw one guy on Twitter yesterday, like decently known like angel/VC investor. He was like, I think he said like 7 years ago or 10 years ago, if you did $1 million ARR, you were a Series A company like easily. Like you could raise your Series A no problem.
Yeah.
Now you could be doing 4 to 5 million and still can't raise your Series A. Yeah. It's like a crazy thing, you know?
Then you hear these weird stories of like a pre-product company.
Of course,
You're just like, what's going on in the world?
But then if you dig into them though, it's usually like the founders, brothers of VC or whatever.
Yeah,
or like this
a track record, or they were an analyst at a VC company and they have a ton of
those are the anomalies. But I feel like for the average like SaaS company per se, like that's changed.
But there's been like, there's a big indie hacking movement. There's a big bootstrapping movement. I would say like at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people would ask like, when you're at a VC backed company, are you like trying to exit, or are you trying to like grow to a certain level of profitability or IPO? And I just don't understand that question, because why would that impact like your decision making? Like unless you're crazy apathetic about what you're even doing, like why would you not just want to build a bigger business? And how could your decisions be different? Like, and so like, and if you put all your eggs in the exit basket and then those companies never come knocking, like it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think the bootstrap thing versus the VC thing is the same thing. Like I've had people say, don't launch the product.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because it's easier to raise money for you.
It's easier to raise money without the product out there.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I find that one weird. So I'm like, no, I'm still going to keep building.
Yeah.
And if it's ready to be out there and help me, then I'll put it out there.
So I've also seen this, and like VCs hate this. I might get like yelled at one day that I even said this on a podcast.
Yeah.
But like if you raise on the safe, for example, technically if it doesn't convert to equity, you can just give them the money back.
Yeah.
They hate that. So like I have a friend who she sold her company for like $40 million, And she probably
she just paid back the original.
So like before she even sold the company, she paid back the original money to the investors. They were pissed about it because like she might have gave them like 2x of what they put in.
I think it depends on your terms and then the cap.
term stuff like that and everything. But I think she just gave them like 2x of what they put in. So like they double their money or whatever.
But they didn't get.
But they're like, I didn't get my 20x whatever. So she just became profitable. You're just a bunch of EBITDA. She's taking all the money for like.
I don't feel bad for them.
I don't feel bad for the VCs either. VCs hate someone saying that, but like it's perfectly legal.
I mean, it is in the terms too.
Of course it is.
So I think that's where I don't love the idea of like family and friend round. They don't know what they're getting into.
They have no idea what they're getting into.
They have no idea what they're getting into. And I don't want to like be at dinner and be asked about it.
From like a risk standpoint, they're not even set up properly because like think of a VC, like they're investing in 100 for 2 to hit, 1 to hit, whatever. Yeah. Your family and friend has never even invested, or they have maybe invested like once or twice. It's like stick to like Apple stock, not like
it is. It is a gamble, right? Yeah. And so like everyone's got to be.
It's like worse than a gamble. It's like probably not going to hit.
No, not with the success rates. Yeah,
for sure. But, so I've seen that where like they get the safe note, like convertible note, whatever it's called, and it doesn't convert to equity. So like they'll just pay the money back, retain the equity. And when they sell it, they own all of it, and they can like distribute profits and all this type of stuff too. So.
Yeah, and I think I've seen like a couple companies that I was just told the other day, like raise a little bit in the beginning because that gets the lights on, that gets you moving, that builds your initial team.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go to like Series A. You don't have to go to like the next ones either. So hopefully the founders are a little bit more empowered to make the right decisions.
For sure.
But yeah, it is. If you're entering something where there's just like crazy competition, it's moving super fast.
You need money,
You need a good amount. And I think the more I've spent time with my own thing, I'm like, I want to go take on, the biggest players that are multi-billion-dollar market caps and public companies.
The Dropboxes of the world.
Yeah. And so then they have like signature products, DocuSigns and stuff like that. So I think there's something interesting there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You both earlier were talking about how sales is the most important part of a business, especially a startup business. But like in my head, sales doesn't exist without marketing, because marketing is the concept of making the product or service known.
Yeah.
Sales is what converts the leads from the marketing into actual paying customers.
Yeah. And I mean,
it depends on the business, I feel though too.
But give me a scenario where sales exists without marketing.
Well, I feel like
this is fun.
I feel like you're the expert here, but I'm going to put my
go in.
Like when you say marketing, if you're meaning like the branding, a website, stuff like that, logo, I feel like that's like one level of marketing. That's like the beginning level.
I would say that's branding, which is
part of marketing.
But it's like
depending on the product, like what he's thinking about, what I do, I feel like, or even what you do, just like if you just straight sell, like you'll get there faster.
But how would you sell without marketing?
And call people up.
Just call people up.
That's marketing. That's outreach.
So then I think that's where salespeople.
So then we're talking different stuff,
right?
Okay.
So then I think that's where what is a good question, or it's a question like every company answers differently. But like, I mean, if you just step back from it, both need to exist.
100%.
The argument between the two kind of happens within the two. Like the CEO wants both, right? Most of the time, marketing can mean a lot of things. Like Elon about Tesla will say we don't do marketing. Right. But he means we don't do advertising, although now they do advertising. Right. But they do marketing. Right. Like everything PR, everything he's posting on Twitter is marketing.
It's a big marketing company.
Or on X, is like marketing. Right. And when they do stunts and big events, like when they do a launch event, what is that? Yeah. Right. That's marketing owns an event. So there's got to be departments or agencies that are responsible for that. And then I think on the sales versus marketing side, I don't know. I used to be more like fired up about that argument, but having like now led both sales teams and marketing teams and now thinking about my own thing, like you kind of become agnostic and be like, these two need to work together really well. I think it also does depend on the type of company. Like a CPG brand or a D2C brand doesn't have that big of a sales function versus a marketing function.
The website is like the sales machine.
Yeah. And the website is, or like in my mind, weirdly enough, I think marketing should own the website in every company.
It's kind of both. It's tough.
Yeah.
Because it's like all the copy, all the content is used to persuade the person to buy, but it also has the mechanism in which they purchase.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the tagline you need for a one-on-one sales call is very different than the tagline that might be on your header,
Yeah.
that might be put in front of an investor or, a bank, right? Like everything is different. And so you kind of need them working together. I don't think I actually do think the two can exist separately depending on the business type, or like without each other.
Yeah.
Depending on the business type. Like I think there are some companies that are just all sales.
Mm-hmm.
But sales then needs like assets and presentations. And so you have this
Right.
like sales enablement function. That's kind of interesting. Do you necessarily need paid marketing going at the same time? Maybe not, right? And I've been like proven wrong there too. Like I've seen companies where I was the one spending a lot of money, and then we pulled back spending some money and we kind of figured out something else. So I think that's there. But then I think if you want to be a breakthrough brand and like, get to the next level, you just have to have like killer marketing.
Yeah. I mean, like relative to the companies that you've been at, mine is my two are very, very, very small. But the way that we label marketing and sales is we group it into just acquisition.
Yeah.
And so I think we can all agree that acquisition, especially in the beginning, and even when you're up and running, is more important than product.
Yeah. And I think that's where like chief growth officer can maybe straddle both, have both like lines of acquisition into them, or like even chief revenue officer can have both sales and marketing roll up, and then they work kind of better together. It's more that same thing of misaligned expectation of how fast marketing can get things done, right? And that marketing thinks product can get things done fast and they can't, and then product tells marketing last minute and marketing can't. Where sales is like, we have this big pitch and I need like this other thing for marketing, and we just don't have it. I think those are like where the friction comes in between everybody, and then they start arguing.
It's funny, like there's like this meme, like entrepreneurship meme, and it's like first time founder cares so much about the product.
Yeah.
Second time founder cares so much about distribution.
Yeah.
And like third time founder is like, I just want to buy a business that's running and has customers and profitable already. And it's like,
which is like, acquire.com or something like that. That would be, that's a great one.
It's literally that. It's like the first guy cares so much on how the website looks. And the second guy's like, I don't give a shit how the website looks. How are we selling this fucking thing? So
well, you have an agency.
Yep.
I'm gonna and I'm consulting and essentially have a pipeline on that too. Do you think more of what you do is sales or marketing to grow the agency?
So most of our marketing has been just cold outreach, email outbound.
Yeah.
We
which I would say is sales.
I would say that's sales too.
So I would say it's marketing because it's the concept of making the product known to other people. And I would say the sales is when they become a positive lead, or when they become an engaged lead, right, where they positively reply and they express interest in moving forward, then you have to nurture them. So like in my eyes, the thing that gets them to raise their hand is marketing.
Yeah.
And then you're the one who's going there and then answering their questions and like pitching the service.
So you have a big outbound motion, that's marketing.
Yep.
But if one person LinkedIn messages one other person, is that sales?
Well, I would say that cold outreach at mass scale is just like Hormozy says, it's basically 1-to-1, but using technology
with
to increase it and make it more efficient.
Like Clay.
So I would still say that like there's 1-to-1, there's 1-to-many with outreach like that. Then there's content.
Yeah.
And with the content, usually that's the 1-to-many form. And then when you get the inbound leads, you're like, oh well, I didn't have an effort to reach out to them, but the content was the marketing.
Yeah.
And then you nurturing them in the DMs or call, whatever, like that's the sales mechanism.
And also that stack of that outbound stack is like getting super technical. And I do think marketing is better set up than like having an SDR try to own that stack, right?
You offer that, right, too, as like a service right now?
Yeah, so like the whole kind of sales ops side
what software
of it.
are you using? Lemless, Instantly, Clay? What are you using for that?
I've used Instantly, Smart Lead. I've used
Clay's been sick, but it's expensive.
Clay's expensive,
Apollo obviously is like, there's so many tools that
they're all the same.
I just implemented like Apollo's website visit tracking, but then you have R2B2B.
I've seen R2B2B. That was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. Like I put that on our site, added this, like I think they like stopped giving it for free now or whatever because it stopped working for me.
Yeah.
Like literally any person that came to your site, it told you, here's the person. I'm like, this should be illegal.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of nuts.
It is a little weird. It's only US, right?
Yeah, it's only
so there's
US,
definitely some compliance things coming around it. But while it's there, I've seen it in action on Slack and it's pretty amazing. And I think I agree with you, which is like, I don't know if it's marketing or sales anymore. Like I don't think the salesperson is going to want to set up that stack or is like,
Oh no, they
equipped
don't.
to like A/B test, different lists and different subject lines and everything. And then at the same time, I don't think the marketer wants to reach out to like this chief operating officer at their target, like, North Star company on a one-on-one either. So they kind of just have to work together. But yeah, it kind of doesn't matter who's,
I know you have to get out of here soon, so we'll wrap up. Yeah. I don't know. Kyle, you have anything else? I'm good.
Is that the original question that you asked, or did I go off on a tangent about the agency?
I think my question was just how are you growing it the most, or like in what bucket, sales and marketing?
Yeah, and I'll add on to that like we've been learning. I say we, but it's mostly been my partner. Like we've been learning that game for almost 3 years now, and we still haven't like really cracked it.
Yeah,
because as we evolve, like as our copy gets better, as our offers get better, as our service and our case studies and everything you could possibly imagine is there, providing like undeniable evidence that we're good at this thing, we still get plenty of those responses that are like, we don't pay retainers, we don't do this, we only pay CPA per customer that comes in. Like I don't know if you've ever seen that. I just saw it on Twitter the other day. There's like this one guy or one company, or maybe it's a couple that they've inherited this script where like every agency owner has blasted this person, then gotten this exact response. And like I think there's more and more of those where they have more stipulations because there's just so many agencies you can work with. But yeah, I mean, 3 years and we still haven't like fully cracked it to where it's like predictable, right?
No. But I think like a lot of it is immeasurable or unmeasurable, of like, you might have done outreach and then they visited your site and your site looks like shit. And then they're just not going to reply to your email, right? No matter how hard you try to not put a link in the email so that they get back on a phone call. And then word of mouth is like, everyone's going to say, for some reason, it's always word of mouth. Like someone introduced me to somebody. But like, I think it's just 2 + 2 = 5. Like you just have to like put all those things into it. I've never seen someone like have really bad any single one of those things. You can't have bad service, bad sales, and bad marketing and still be good.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's just like finding their sweet spot. But yeah, I've been going through this too. And if you figure out the formula, like I want to know. Yeah. So far, everyone's just been like, you got to talk to this guy, Rikin, or like that team did that, and then you should talk to this agency. And
that's what we have too. And the hardest thing is like the majority of our referral clients are just not like our target ICP. Like we just want to say, hey, come in, and as long as you're spending at least like 10, 20 grand a month, because prior to that, at least for ads, for the service we offer for like paid content, like you don't even have product market fit yet, Right. And so at least like come in there. And then the second stipulation, because we're now a content service, is like, do you have any at all existing content to work with? Right. Yeah. So have you worked with like any creators, any companies, like any models, whatever? Like you give me 5 pieces of B-roll that you have and like 7 high quality stock photos or product shoots with your product. That's like all we need to build up some initial momentum and use the existing content. So like those are the only 2 things. And I would say like 1 in 3 people that we speak to have those 2 things.
Yeah.
And from referrals, it's like we might get 1 intro or 2 intros every single week. And it's maybe like 1 in 6. Yeah. And it's tough because we want to work with businesses to help them. But our ICP is almost brands that have things kind of figured out. Like they have it sort of figured out because they're spending 30, 40, 50K a month on ads, but they want to get to 500K on ads.
Yeah. And I think you just got to be like a good steward to be like, look, you're not a good fit. You're not even ready for what you're asking for. And then the ones who do it well, that becomes like a subset. And like, so we're all going after those ones, right? Yep. Same thing with SEO. Like, it's like, if you don't have your website ready or you're not willing to like throw in some stuff yet, we're just not ready to chat about it. The worst is getting pulled into an engagement where they're not ready. Yeah. It's like short-term win for you, but like, it's just not going to be fun on either side or like pay off right away. Yeah. So I think like that bit of like, you were asking before, it's like, should I do paid search or should I do organic search? And sometimes like, you know what, for now, if you only have $5,000 to spend and you want a quick win, do paid search. Yeah. Like, call somebody else up and I'll give you a referral. Yeah. But if you get the right client who's ready for it and does it, then And I think I've been trying to also like know my playbooks when I was sitting on the other side hiring agencies. and like learned a lot to be like, okay, can we like follow a certain playbook
Yeah.
and make this like really easy for them? So like when they are missing something, there's like a way to get there and take
Yeah.
them to that point as well. So
Yeah.
but now we're going off track because I don't know how we grow. But honestly, when you do that and you do that stuff well, then I'm like, they're referring somebody because the other person hasn't figured it out yet,
Yep.
right? And so they're gonna be like, look, these people helped me figure it out, or this person writes great content.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's not a fight anymore between the lines of who should do what or what should come first, but I think for me it's just been, I'm gonna do a little bit of content, the content marketing. I'm gonna go chat with people. I'm gonna do the networking sales.
Yeah.
And somehow it comes back. And it's interesting because it's happening to me at a human, like personal level as I'm consulting. But it's also what we were talking about when you're a big brand. Do you go sales or do you go market? Like I think the two are there. Normally it's like the CEO. It's like, what do they like and enjoy? Sometimes the CEO is like just a cold salesperson, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they love brand and they love marketing like that. So a lot of it can be like an echo of their personality. But yeah.
We also look back on like probably 6 months of data, and we were like, all right, let's look at all of our customers and then figure out which one of them actually like fit our ICP. And it was maybe like 20%. So of the brands all the brands we worked with, there was maybe like 20% that really fit that ICP. And then we said, well, what were the results for them?
Right.
And they were phenomenal. But even for half of those, we had 2 clients that left us on a very positive note. They were getting insane results. Like we just got a testimonial the other day that was like, hey, big shout out to Scale Brands, blah, blah, blah. Like 2 of their top performing creatives, one of them's getting a 75x ROAS. The other one's getting a 36x ROAS.
Wow.
But they're still leaving. And it's because like they want to work with an agency that provides like TikTok organic videos instead of paid ad content. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just be able to use those as paid ad content. But so then it brings in the question, like even when you do bring in clients that are in your target ISP, you're still going to lose them. It's still not going to be like perfect retention in this space.
I kind of like the way you were going with that, which is like defining the ICP based on what is working and not. I think so many times people just define this ICP because they just think that that's what they need to be going after.
Rather than looking at the data. Both on like what do we have and what's working. Yeah.
Which is really interesting because there's nothing wrong with just following the things that are like most successful.
Yeah.
I think the hard one is which one do we say no to, right? Because that just means 80% of yours were essentially something you probably thought you should have said no to.
There was some doubt in the back of our mind, and we just said, you know what, we'll push through it. And granted, like majority of those, we also crushed it for.
Is that our takeaway?
Maybe.
Like that whole exercise of doing that. Because everyone's like, oh, I want an SMB. And like I said before, that means so many things to so many different people. It sounds like a nice slide deck. Like, and I don't know. I don't know if that's how businesses really figure it out, but they do find a sweet spot of messaging that appeals from like a marketing perspective.
Yep.
Like that's why this like these agencies that are like flat rate fee per month and you get this type of content, and like for some reason that messaging is resonating with a certain type of client right now. So it's probably finding that messaging fit.
Sorry, I was gonna say it's funny because when I told you to come on the pod, you're like, I don't know what we're really talking about. And then we're here talking.
I don't know what not to talk about.
Yeah, literally. He was like, dude, I don't know. What have I done? That's what he was telling me before. And I was like, no, this will be fun.
Yeah, I was like, you guys have had some heavy hitters in this seat over here.
One of these seats. Yeah.
No, it was fun.
No, this is definitely fun. I know you gotta go. So we'll let you go.
No, thank you.
We gotta shout out a few sponsors too.
Printify and Portless. Thank you guys so much. So Printify is great for new business owners that want print on demand experience. So if you don't know how to deal with manufacturers and suppliers and all that stuff and product, and you just want to sell products that are already proven to work and slap a logo on it, different creative designs, or if you're like a creator or you want to partner with a creator that wants to create a product-based brand, but like doesn't know the supply chain and all that stuff, Printify is your go-to. And Portless, if you're dealing with crappy fulfillment and sourcing and logistics, they will handle all of that. US, China, you name it. Because there was some statistic on there, I'm going to butcher it, but we're probably going to put it up in the ad placement. But a lot of packages get lost, a lot of turnaround times. Like average turnaround time from China is like 21 days. They have it down to like 6 to 9 days. So big difference. Increase your branding, custom packaging, all that stuff. So shout out to our sponsors. Yeah.
Awesome. If people want to find you, if you want them to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah.
Are you on Twitter and stuff?
I'm on
Who are you
Twitter.
Which one are you-
So Twitter X, Rikin, RIKIN 311. And LinkedIn, it's literally linkedin.com/in/Rikin. So just, I took that one first.
Nice.
There
So
you
yeah.
go. We'll
and-
throw it in the description.
Yeah, and
yeah.
the SaaS is called Popform, and then the agency side is lowercase, so it's lower.
Is there a site for the SaaS yet?
So popform.ai.
Okay.
And then on the consulting, if you need any help with anything or just want to chat, sometimes lowercase b2b.com.
And his social security number is
Yeah.
yeah.
14. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, this has
Cool.
been sick. Thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
This was
Yeah,
a good
thank you.
one.
Yeah.
And for everybody else too, make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Yep,
Episode 78, we've done this for a super long
78.
Go
time,
like and
so-
retweet some of his stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Go
Please
engage.
do.
We appreciate you, and we'll catch you guys on the next
Yep.
one.
See you in the next
Later.
one.